Welcome to Instant Replay for MLS Match Day 11. I'm your host, Andrew Wiebe, and as always, we're taking a closer look at the most controversial refereeing decisions in Major League Soccer. We start with the first goal for Inter Miami in a big-time win against the Red Bulls. 9th minute in, it's Fafa Picault at the back post, and, well, we've seen this before. This is what Fafa does. The goal is given live, but when you rewind it back, you can see there is an offside shout here. Destiny Allende in an offside position when he receives this pass in the build-up to the goal. After goal was given on the field, Ismir Pekmic, the referee, waited for a good bit of time as Ricardo Montero, the VAR, took a look at this one. In other words, checked it. No review was initiated and the goal was given in the end, and I agree with that outcome. I like that this goal stood. To me, taking it off would just be guessing. The lines at the top of the screen, for me, the turf lines that we're using as a reference point, aren't as clearly visible as those at the bottom. And the camera distortion also makes it difficult to judge the distance between the line and Allende and the final defender up top. So as I look down here and sort of extrapolate, my brain is telling me this is basically even, and if it's not, it's offside by such a small margin on the back foot of Allende as to be inconsequential and impossible to see on replay or live by the AR, who, by the way, is in perfect position to make this call. I do not want to be in the business of calling for goals to be taken off for an inch or two or three. Good goal for me. And I've got good goal for Christian Benteke, Rapid supporters. I know, you were hollering at me all weekend. First half stoppage time, Benteke doing what Benteke does, which is getting on the end of deflected crosses and heading them into the back of the net. Only last week, Rapid supporters were frustrated with me because Rafa Navahu fouled Yaimar, and that goal was rightly taken off. And they're saying now, hey, hold on. Look at those two hands on the shoulder of our defenders as Benteke goes to head the ball. And I see them, and had the foul been called on the field, I don't think you'd have evidence that's clear and obvious to take it off by any means. But for me, this play and the Navahu play are different. In this case, yes, Benteke gets his hands on a defender, but it's not the same straight arm push we saw last week, a push that one, kept Yaimar from jumping at all for a ball in the air, and two, gave Navahu separation. In this instance, I just think Benteke reacts more quickly to deflection and he attacks the ball more aggressively. I don't have a problem with this being a good goal, but I'm open to your arguments. How about a DOGSO serious foul play? Either way, it's a red card on Chris Brady in the Chicago-Orlando game. 36th minute, the Chicago goalkeeper comes steaming out on Duncan McGuire and ooh, he gets a good piece. Victor Rivas, the referee, calls DOGSO. That's a red card, and he's pointing to the spot for a penalty. That's because Chris Brady's not playing the ball in this instance. Easy decision on the DOGSO. McGuire's gonna have an empty net, he gets fouled. Let's quickly just address the PK decision. This goes to review, and David Barry points it out to Victor Rivas, and yeah, we can see it now on replay. That contact initiates outside the penalty area. So there is no penalty, but there is going to be a red card, only I would argue the red card could be for DOGSO or for serious foul play. Think about the law, excessive force. Given the speed and force of this challenge and the fact that Brady left his feet, oh, we're right there. How about endangering the safety of an opponent? Right leg way up high, leading into clear contact at speed with force in the stomach or the ribs? I think you got a case for serious foul play, though the outcome doesn't really change no matter what. It's a red card and no penalty. Well done to the crew. Here's an interesting one. Montreal Phillies, 77th minute. Dante Seeley cooking a little bit, getting in the box, going down. No penalty, says Marcos de Oliveira. I'm assuming he saw that little bit of a slip starting and said, well, it's not actually the contact that brings him down from Lukic, or doesn't see that contact in the first place. But Kevin Terry Jr., the VAR, does, and he sends de Oliveira to the monitor. Penalty, clear and obvious error, says Kevin Terry Jr. No, says de Oliveira. He sticks with his call on the field, and I think you can see both sides to agree. There's de Oliveira's side where you can say, well, he was already slipping and that contact is not what actually brings him down. I might be more inclined to agree with that side if the contact was very slight or even incidental. But to me, it just isn't. Lukic reaches out and gives Dante Seeley no chance to recover here. The contact for me is obvious. And we don't know that Seeley couldn't have recovered. Looking like you are slipping is not the same as falling down on your own accord, which to me he doesn't do. The contact is ultimately what brings Seeley down. I would have liked to see this be a penalty. And I get why a penalty was called in the 18th minute of that San Diego-Dallas game. Yeah, this is a little soft. And it's the left leg of Alex Mighton, which does flare out a bit into the contact, but in the end, to me, the reason for that flaring out is because Mighton is being pulled by the other defender. He's just trying to keep his balance. He still has possession, and you've got a defender coming across him from behind. I'm okay with the penalty call from Joe Dickerson here. I'm a little bit less convinced on this fourth goal in the 73rd minute. The question is, did the ball cross the line? The AR's flag goes up immediately. But I gotta say, the AR is not exactly looking down the goal line in this situation, and this thing is razor thin. I have no idea if this ball crosses the line. Let's just start there. I do see, after watching a lot of these angles, a full line in front of the ball, but we know from out of bounds situations that the ball is a sphere. Just because you see a full line does not mean that the full ball crossed the line. If I was guessing here, and to be clear, everyone involved in this one is guessing, I think it's more likely that this ball doesn't completely cross the line. But I have no way of knowing that, and there is no way to reverse the call on the field with nothing clear and obvious one way or another. So the goal's gonna stand. Luckily, unluckily for Dallas, it was the fourth in a 5-0 beating. Seattle St. Louis, 70th minute, possible handball call here. Yes, you can see it as I can see it. The ball does hit the arm of the St. Louis defender. Lorenzo Hernandez does not call it on the field, but Kevin Terry Jr., who's the VAR in this one as well, calls him to the monitor, and Hernandez says no penalty. Hernandez is looking at that very slight deflection off the thigh. But listen, when you put your arm in the position that it was and you make yourself unnaturally bigger, it doesn't matter if the ball takes a deflection per the laws. The other thing for me is that deflection is so slight, so minor, that I don't think it actually changes the trajectory of the ball. To me, this is still a shot on goal being blocked by an arm that's in an unnatural position, making the defender bigger. For me, this should be a handball and a penalty. And last but not least, New York City, Cincinnati, 12th minute. New York City's got a penalty. Alonso Martinez he just keeps cooking. But Matt Miazga is very frustrated. He's arguing his case with Drew Fisher, and I get it. Alonso Martinez lets himself go once he feels that contact for a prolonged period. Let's not get it twisted. He feels that and he pulls up the landing gear. I don't actually see like a pullback by Miazga, but there is clear and prolonged contact, hand to shoulder, by a forward who has lost a step on the attacker in the box. I get Miazga's frustration, but in the end, he committed the crime of putting a hand on the shoulder of an attacker who's beaten you, and 99 times out of 100, that's getting called. All right, that's it for us. If you see something, say something. Hit me up on social media with the game, a description, and please, the minute. It's so helpful. There's a lot of soccer happening here, folks. Big thanks to my editor, Aldo Medina, and my producer, Rich Hernandez. I'm Andrew Wiebe. We'll see you next time.